Yes, it's me, Market Vendor here again today. So I see that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honourable Dr. Keith Rowley, and the President of Guyana have spoken about the launching of a ferry service between Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. And apparently we're going to move goods and people across the Caribbean between these countries, and I would imagine eventually between other Caribbean countries. People asking me, Marky, you think a ferry can work? Well, you know, they got ferries and there are ferries. Oh, alas. Marky, what kind of profound statement that is, though? Well, let me explain it to you. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they have ferries that work and work very well between the mainland of St. Vincent and the other islands of the Grenadines, going down to Bequia and so on. And it's fairly cheap too as well. I suspect that Comrade Ralph, subsidizes that. And that Camilo Gonzalez, out of his finance minister's budget, which apparently was the bone of a lot of contention last week, seemed to be like a lot of contentious people in the Parliament and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but the comrade can deal with them. Anyhow, it seems to be that, it was definitely subsidized because it's fairly cheap to get on by the ferry and go down to Bequia and so on, make the rounds. So that ferry does work. It is a working ferry. Guyana got ferries that work too as well, carrying, from one side to the other. And you can go with vehicles and things and put it on by the ferry and head over to Suriname, or Suriname, as they would call it, and so on. And then, of course, they got a ferry, or several ferries, that work between Trinidad and Tobago. And people just use the motor car. Friends of mine, look, last year I went down to Tobago to some friends of mine, big up friends I got down there, and they got a place down there, so, near to, the beach and so on. And they drive over one of their motor cars, and Mark was driving about that motor car all over Tobago. You see what I'm saying? So these things happen. We know that the ferries exist. There's a ferry that does work between St. Lucia, the Helen of the Caribbean, and also Martinique. So ferries do exist and ferries do work. And up in the Northern Caribbean too as well. Them got ferries. So I think that ferries can work. The question is, will this one work? And who going on it? It can be private sector or it can be coming out the public purse. But I like to remind people that if you go far enough back, you will find the answers to a lot of the questions that you're asking. When they had a federation about here, in the late 50s and early 60s, the Canadian government, they give it two big boats, the federal palm and the federal maple, and them used to move people and goods and services. I went on a few trips down to St. Lucia and so on by them. So, you could call it a ferry or you could call it a ship, whatever you want to call it. You understand? We had it before, and it used to come through all the islands. Maybe it made too many stops, but it was a gift from the government of Canada at the time to the Caribbean nation, as it was the only time we had a Caribbean nation. It was called the West Indies Federation. Federal palm and federal maple. Well, when they break up, I guess, to give back the people the ship, because you had no more need for it, because you had no more unity. We was now the disunited federation. 1 from 10 leaves not, said the doc, and that, as the doc people would say, was the end of that DWD. I'm only a market vendor. I wish it well, because let me tell you something. The cost of airfares about here, you guys soon need a mortgage to be able to get on by the plane to go to another Caribbean island. A man told me just a few days ago, I swear, I tell you, the man told me this year, that he went all the way up to Spain, for the same money or less money, a little less, he said, than it would have cost him to go to a Caribbean island. I was just looking at some hotel fares, prices at a top-class Caribbean hotel brand. And let me tell you something, they had one item under $500 and that was per person. I said, Marky, I can't eat now, drink $1,000 in food and drink when the day come. And I need a big fancy room to sleep in. 500, going all the way up to 12, 11, 13, $1,400 a night per person. Well, that for market, clearly. Airbnb, here I come. Holiday Crown Plaza might be at the top of the line, market golfer now. Have a blessed and a wonderful day, you hear?